Thank you, Robert. Dan Baer is here. Dan is a former U.S. ambassador to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Welcome, Dan. The Ukraine first, before we get into anything else. How are you feeling optimistic, or how do you feel about the prospects for peace in Ukraine, knowing whatever it is we know right now?
I think Robert was absolutely right that the real question right now is whether actually the parties want to make peace. Ukraine has been ready to make peace for a long time. They have every reason to make peace, obviously, and it's just been about working out the details, particularly on land and security guarantees. That's been the ongoing conversation with Ukraine. In terms of Vladimir Putin, there's been no evidence yet that he actually wants to make peace. In fact, he continues to blow up Ukraine's energy infrastructure, causing hardship for civilians in a cold winter, et cetera. And I think part of what they're doing right now, part of what Zelenskyy must be thinking right now is, in the best case scenario, he's wrong, I'm wrong, the Russians are ready to make peace and they can hammer out a deal by solving this last peace on land. In the worst case scenario, Zelenskyy will show the world once again that it is Russia that is the obstacle here, and that Putin just isn't ready for peace, and that Zelenskyy is the constructive player who needs all of our support in the meantime.
You can make any case or think of a case for a guy that, to your point, has no, or shown no sign that he wants any kind of peace anywhere, especially in Ukraine, to be on a board of peace?
I mean, it's hard to take seriously a so-called board of peace that includes a guy who has made war multiple times against his neighbor, including this very active, very hot war that has killed thousands and thousands and thousands of civilians, not to mention hundreds of thousands of military deaths. So it is, I don't think anybody would have predicted that an indicted war criminal would be a good person to put on a board of peace.
It's amazing, isn't it, in some ways? Does it have an impact, though, or does it not matter? In other words, does it have an impact on what we're talking about and the actual peace talks in Ukraine?
I think probably the board of peace is pretty separate from the actual peace talks in Ukraine. What has an impact there is Putin's own calculus of how long he can continue with this war. He can continue for the short term. In some ways, he's kind of addicted to it because he's recast the Russian economy to be fully dependent on the war. So finding an off-ramp for him for the war would mean trying to figure out how to handle the Russian economy that has been completely retooled in order to support the war. So that's a separate question from the question that President Trump has said the board of peace is supposed to tackle first, which is peace in Gaza and how to make peace in Gaza stick.
I guess the other thing is, though, with all of what's happened this week in Davos and all the kind of comments that Trump has made, and not just Greenland specifically, but all the things he said about European allies and all this debate about whether that leaves the alliance worse off and that kind of thing. So where does it leave Zelenskyy? I mean, because that's obviously, you know, the context here is that Putin's dream forever and ever has been a weaker NATO, and maybe that puts him in a more leveraged position.
Yeah, Zelenskyy had some tough words today for the Europeans, and he said that they needed to stop behaving like a salad of middle and small countries and start standing up. You know, the Europeans, one of the things the Europeans should take from this week is that when they do hang together, when they make credible threats of a response against aggressive action, in this case, President Trump's aggressive words on Greenland, that it is possible to make a policy impact. Obviously, the markets also helped with that one because I think President Trump saw what happened to the markets with his threats of tariffs. But the Europeans were ready to respond. And what Zelenskyy needs is for the Europeans to hang together like they did when talking with Donald Trump, to hang together and talk tough to Vladimir Putin and to be ready to support Ukraine for the medium term if Putin really isn't ready for peace.
All right, Dan, thank you, my friend. Dan Baer with us here. Speaking of the markets, they like it again today.